Welcome to Contractor Cuts, where we cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of growing a successful contracting company.
Welcome to Contractor Cuts. My name is Clark Turner.
I'm James McConnell.
Thanks for joining us. All right, so today we are talking about subcontractors. This is the most boring episode that has the most controversy.
Great setup.
Thank you.
I'm invested.
Every time I talk subcontractors, if we post it online, we get like tons of millions of views arguing about what a sub should and shouldn't be. Subcontractors are all over the board different, and our opinion of how to hire them, how to run them, and how to do it, I believe is the best way to do it. That's why it's our opinion, but is often pushed back on. So this is the way we do it. This is what we like. This is what we don't like. This is how we deal with subs. We are anti-day labor, hourly labor subs. A lot of guys starting off run that way because it's like, hey, my buddy, you want to come work for me? I'll pay you per day. And then it just kind of grows and multiplies with that as your style. And I am so anti-pay guys per day to come work for you as a sub. And we'll get into that in a second. So we're going to talk about finding and managing the perfect subcontractors and kind of defining some of that and then how we do it. I'd like to hear a little bit about how you've done it. We haven't chatted about subs very much recently. So love to hear your opinions.
Thank you.
I hope they're the right opinions.
I do too. I know you're big on that.
I'm big on you being right, not wrong. What type of subs should you use? So talking about vendors versus subs, how do we use subs? What type of subs we use? Like I started off saying, all of our subs have work orders where the amount of money that they're getting is tied.
Simple name for capital.
Thank you. Sorry for people don't understand money. They only understand capital. Yeah. The work order has a certain set amount of capital.
Thank you.
Tied to the amount of work that we're expecting that subcontractor to complete, right? This is how we manage subs to where there is not an abuse of them or an abuse of us. I've said it before, but with subcontractors, when you're paying them hourly or daily, if I'm paying you $250 a day, $800 a day, I don't care what your price point is, you are only getting a certain amount of work out of them that day. A really good sub is giving you a lot of work. A really crappy sub is giving you not a lot of work. If I'm paying everybody across the board $400 a day, the really good sub gets abused by me. I'm taking advantage. He's giving me $800 worth of work, and I'm paying him $400. I took advantage of him, to make money that day.
Is there anyone you like to apologize to while you have this platform?
No, because I don't run jobs this way, James. Are you looking for an apology? All right, so that's if they're really good. A lot of times when you're running daily or hourly guys, they're not good. So they're taking advantage of you. You're paying them $400 for that day, and you're getting about $200 worth of work out of them. So it's very difficult to day in and day out pay guys $400 for that day and to get exactly $400 of value out of them. That's the fair way to do it. I'm paying you your value. And so by doing it the work order system, the way that we do it, I'm paying you $6,000 to do this demo and this framing. That's what you're in charge of. $6,000. Can you get it done? The way we price it and the way we coach our guys on building up estimates start here, right? It's saying, okay, I think that crew of 3 guys can frame that in 4 days. I pay 3 guys $1,500. The main guy's taking more money. He's bringing some helpers with him. 4 times $1,500. That's $6,000. So I need to pay them $6,000 to do this job. That's how, if you're getting started writing estimates, that's how you do it. That's how you price out labor. And then you go from there and say, okay, if I'm charging $6,000 for this, what's my markup? I need to be at 35% profit. So I'm going to mark that up, and that's what I'm charging my customer. Now, understanding what you can pay your crews, how much to pay them, all that takes conversations with them, helping them understand how you're pricing things and saying, okay, so what do you need per day? How are we going to do this? I want to keep you busy 5 days a week, every single week, week over week. How can I do that? What makes sense for you? What if we were around $1,000 a day? And so once we get that buy-in from them and that conversation with the sub and how we do that, we then can start building out our jobs around the pricing that we've pre-negotiated. Now, even though I've negotiated a daily rate for that sub, that doesn't mean I'm paying them a daily rate for the work they're doing, right? So $1,500 a day, it should take you 4 days. That's $6,000. Because of that, I'm giving you $6,000 to complete this work. Now, if it takes you 2 days, good for you. You worked your butt off. You're getting $6,000. You got paid $3,000 a day. If it takes you 2 weeks, I'm sorry, you got $6,000 for 2 weeks of work. Your value is in your speed, and if you get it done quickly, you'll get another job coming, right? And so we start ramping guys up to where they can make a lot of money with us if they're good, quick, efficient, and they don't have go-back work. Speaking of go-back work, they're standing behind that work. So if there's something on that $6,000 job that goes wrong next week, hey, before you start that next job for me, I need you to go back and fix that at cost. I'm not paying anything extra. We agreed $6,000 to do that work, including the warranty that we agreed upon on our subcontractor agreement. So that's kind of an overview of how we run subs. The perfect type of sub, the way we like to see them being used is I want them bid pricing, work order system. And if there's any changes and they want more money, or I try to negotiate out of not doing something and dropping the price, I'm going to change it on my in ProStruct 360 and send them a new work order with the new updated price. Anything I missed on that, on how we pay subs and manage them on that side?
No.
Cool. So that being said, the structure of subs is we've got our general crews. Now, this is if you're a general contractor. And if you're a tradesman listening to this, this is how we structure, try to make more money with us. What we do as a GC is I've got my general crews that I'm paying, trying to keep them busy 5 days a week. They're doing kind of a little, jack of all trades, can handle a little bit of everything. I'm going to have 3 to 4 per project manager of those type of crews. They're going to be my go-to guys, and my project manager owns those crews. Then we've got what we call our vendors or our invoicing vendors or our shared crews, stuff like cleaners, electrician, plumber, cabinets.
Flooring sometimes.
Flooring, yeah, that's good. Roofers. Guys that are one-off that I can't keep busy 5 days a week. That's kind of a shared list within the company that we all use. Those aren't our general. Those guys a lot of times are going to have preset pricing. They're going to go out and bid jobs like an electrician. I'll have an addition. I'll say, okay, hey, I'm budgeting 10 grand for electrical. I'm sending my electrician out there. He puts the quote together and he's at 11.5. How do we get there? What did I miss? Help me understand that. And then I'm changing it on the customer during our revision phase of the estimating. I'm running through this real fast, trying to get to the good stuff. That being said, the general crews, I'm generating the numbers and saying, this is how much I got for you. On majority of those vendors, I'm saying, hey, this is what I think it should cost. Go out and take a look at it, and let's have a conversation about what it actually is. Some vendors, like flooring, for instance, we have preset pricing. We know exactly per square foot for the LVP. We've got 3 different levels, good, better, best. These are the different prices. I know exactly all my costs. If I send them a work order for that square footage, for that thing, and I captured everything that it's needed, that's how much I'm paying, right? That's where we want to get with those vendors. Mm-hmm. But sometimes, especially electricians and plumbers, HVAC guys, they got to go out and get their eyes on it. And they are the experts on, hey, actually, we need to run here. We need to change this. We need a sub panel because this one's not going to work. All the stuff that I couldn't capture on the initial estimate. So that's okay for them to go out and bid those and look at those as long as I'm doing that pre-construction. So I can do a revision on my estimate to capture that extra money. All that being said, let's talk about our general crews. The guys that I build estimates for, I'm running 4 to 5 days a week. I'm trying to fill their schedules. I'm working in partnership with them. Today we're talking about mainly how we manage those guys, how we price those jobs, how we pay them, all that stuff. That was a good overview?
It's great.
Good.
Great overview.
Thanks. All right, so talk to me, James. What do you like when we're talking about those general crews, what do you like when you're interviewing and finding a new crew? What are your red flags in finding and interviewing those crews when we're trying to bring on more vendors and subs?
Red flags for me are when I'm engaging with a new crew, and I'm like, what is your cost per linear foot on something? And they're like, it's always job dependent, da 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 da. I'm like, I get that. I need to put together legitimate estimates for clients before you're ever on site.
I don't want to waste your time.
Saves your time,
Yep.
saves our time, help us pre-qualify. And when we get on site and our numbers don't change very much from our first preliminary estimate to our site estimate, that's a really good omen for us, and we're probably going to land that job. And if you can help me understand your pricing, that makes you part of that process. When guys are still reluctant after me doing my best to explain, and I don't always do the best job, but I want it to work. I always want it to work. I always want more guys able to come in, so when we're growing, we're not feeling the pain because we've already got the guy in the stable ready to go, filling the slot. So if I can't communicate with them and get them to understand my goals, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And even if we can get them to execute on one or two jobs
for the price we want,
for
having issues day one,
we're not going to get anywhere. And when we do run into an issue, and this is the issue, you've heard this before. Even after the 1 hour conversation about how we pay and onboarding and all that. Well, we got our check this week, but it was only for $1,500. I need $3,000. We talked about that. I know that you would like $3,000 every week to pay your guys, but based on what we talked about and the work that you did complete, there is not. I've already paid you 80% of what is owed, and I don't think you're there. I think you're actually at 60%. So I'm over my skis on what you've done so far, and that's not going to work. So the same guy that won't meet you and help you understand your pricing is the same guy that's not actually going to list. They want the job, they want the fruit, they want the bowl of fruit, but they're not willing to actually play by the rules that you guys talked about. They're like, they won't hold me to that.
Well, if I pay you $3,000, what's going to get you to come back next week to finish? Because that's all the money I owe you left. Like, I got nothing. What happens if you bail? Who am I going to hire? So I think one thing that you're saying that to clue people in the software, you can go line item by line item and mark it a percent complete. It could be 100% complete, pay the whole line. If I've got a $10,000 paint line and I mark it 50% complete, it creates a bill for $5,000. Very simplistic, very easy to use, to where I can complete 17 line items for this crew at different percentages. So we walk the job on Monday, look around. Okay, the paint, we're at 50%. Framing's done, demo's done. I'm going to make theirs 100%. Flooring hasn't started. He's not doing the flooring, though. What is he? The trim. The trim isn't started either. We're not going to do. Whatever it is, you can mark line by line the different percentages. And at the end of it, you hit save. And it says, all right, you're cutting him a check for $8,400 this week. And it goes into your vendor payments page. And the way we do it is you do the payment. So our PMs do that on site. And then James sits down and says, okay, $8,400 for this crew. That makes sense. We invoice that check. I'm going to send them their money, and you go in and drop money into their bank account. It's
like
not
a little elf.
Like a little elf. You're like a little Santa elf. That being said, it's not a negotiation on site as to how much they're getting. Now, if they say, hey, I need $10,000 this week, and our project manager's walking the site, he's marking stuff off. He's like, hey, just so you know, I'm at $8,400. Help me understand where you're coming up with $10,000. We'll have those type of conversations, but we're not giving people money that they want. We're giving them payment for what they did, right? And so I've said plenty of times, probably on this podcast before, when a crew's like, hey, I need $10,000 this week to pay all my guys, and I say, well, I've got $8,400. They say, well, I need $10,000. I got rent due, and I got these guys I promised money to. I say, well, Saturday and Sunday when you took off, did you know you needed $10,000? Did you know what had to get done? Like, this isn't my problem, and I want to help you, but like, you're making your problems my problems, and I can't invoice for 100%.
I got my own problem. I don't need my problems and your problems.
But I can't invoice the customer for more money than what's been done. And so you tell the crew that and say, I can't ask for more money, so I don't have money to pay you. I can pay you for what you've completed because that's what I can ask for from the customer. And having that conversation clearly with them, helping them understand that's our pay structure, you're only getting paid. And so once you get them trained in that mode and teach them how to make money with you, I'll tell you, Monday nights they work deep into the night trying to get everything done. So Tuesdays we can get them paid.
But this is one of the reasons, and you talk about that, like how do you grow your subs?
Yeah.
the reason that dude's coming to you asking you for 10 is because he's paying his guys daily.
Yep.
And he owes them that money.
Yep.
Versus, hey guys, this is our project. This is, and I get it makes sense when you're a sub and you've got a rotating cast of characters. You can't really work contract with them.
And the way I coach tradesmen and guys that are subs for companies, it's great to have daily and hourly guys as labor help if you're the labor lead. But if you're a labor lead, you need to be on site making sure, snapping every single guy into shape, making sure that he's getting the jobs done. As GCs, we're not there 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. We're checking in 2 to 3 times a week, getting guys started, solving problems, coming to the final walkthrough. So I can't be responsible for the amount of time you take for your lunch. If I'm hiring a sub, he should be there all day, every day, making sure the guys that he brings with them aren't taking 2 hours for lunch, aren't getting there at 10 and leaving at 2, but they're getting there when I get there. We're taking the same lunch and we're getting the work done. Those guys, I'm like, yeah, you pay your labor if you're a trade or you're that style of a company setup where you're on site. That's an hourly and daily labor setup. I'm talking about general contractors though, to where we don't want to do it that way. But what exactly to your point, coaching our subs, building them into really good companies. Because if they are efficient and they're making money, they're making us money, right? And so I think that's great. I think it's how do we get our subs efficient? Right? I remember my first sub I ever had, Juan. I talk about him often on here. When I would walk jobs as a project manager with him, we would do a lot of flips. We were doing at one point 30 flips a month, just me running as a one-man show for some REITs and investor companies that were fixing and flipping homes, anywhere from $5,000 to $35,000, $40,000 for a fix and flip to put a renter in it. I'd show up to the job site with Juan. He'd have 4 guys with him, and it looked like roaches in the house. 4 guys would just go in there and just start all over the house, patching walls because they know, are we doing a full paint? Cool, we'll get started on that. So me and Juan start the walk at 8 a.m. By the time we finish walking, talking scope, looking at pricing, doing all that stuff, 8:45, they're priming because they've already patched all the holes, they've already prepped all the walls, and he's got his crew running so efficiently that they're in and out painting a full interior of a house in a day and a half. Mm-hmm. They're doing we're in a house Monday and we're turning the keys over on a $30,000 renovation by Thursday or Friday because he's learned how to get his crews and his guys to efficiently get done. So he was in and out of houses every single week, running 2 to 3 houses in a week, making really good money for himself because we worked together on getting him efficient, making him understand this is how you make money. This is one of the big things you got to teach your subs. This is how you don't go back work. Let me show you how we exit and what I expect out of you, because if you don't have to come back, you can make more money on the next job. If you got to come back 3 times because you didn't check the light bulbs when you're putting all the light fixtures in, you did it all the stupid, you washed your brush out in the front yard. All of those things that I need you to go back and fix. Go buy a bundle of mulch to pour over where you wash your brush out.
One of your guys accidentally upper decked the toilet.
Accidentally. I need you to go back out and fix that, right? And so helping him understand that and working with him on getting his guys efficient allowed him to make a lot more money. And when we had that system in place, the partnership to where I'm doing some of the work, he's doing the other work, and we're both making money on it, that's where the real money was made in the company.
Yeah. And to your point, when you're talking about what are good subs, what are bad subs, when you and your sub both see the value that each other bring to the relationship, that's gold.
Yep.
Figure that relationship out. And it might mean at some point this guy doesn't do a lot of work with you unless you have really high-end stuff.
Yeah.
Because they've aged out. They're too good for what your level. But that opens up an opportunity for you. What do you need?
Yeah.
So when we get this job coming in, I know the guy that I want to use. The question is, can I bid this and afford him?
Yes.
It is worth. It is. That is the best money spent is when you are I want to afford this crew because they make my life easier. We're going to make less profit on this job, but having a job it's everything.
Yeah.
You can market off that job. You've got cash flow off that job. You got crews that are working that you're providing work for. That's good for business. Yep. So
Well, and I would even say I'm not making less profit on the job. Day one estimate is a lower profit point. But I'm able to do more jobs because I'm not having to babysit and be on site every single day. Mm-hmm. I'm having more impact on my customers' experience to where they're wanting to use us again and referring us to other people. And I'm not having to do go back work. I'm not having to really kind of arm wrestle daily with the crew for pay. Like all of that stuff, and it runs smoothly. I don't need to make 40%.
Yeah.
Right? I don't need to make that big dollar. I do if I'm having to babysit and I'm spending 50% of my day on this job, then I need to make 40% on it. Yeah. But if I can literally make a phone call, meet the crew, get the work done, and get out of there, I can make 25%, 22%, and still be killing it because I'm now doing 7 jobs at once instead of 2 jobs at once. So, I think it feels like, well, this other crew's cheaper, so I'm just going to go with them. No. They're not. They're less priced because the rest of that money I'm going to have to spend my time on.
Yeah.
Right. And so understanding that with your crews, I think is really good. One last thing I want to cover is onboarding subs, bringing them in and having this conversation. Number one thing, here's a cool way to start testing subs and understanding them. When we're sitting down, I want you to have a subcontractor packet. You got your agreement that we're working through, what we're talking about, everything we're going to sign. I want you to have a work order printed out so they can see what your work orders look like and explain that to them. And then we have another document that is a timeline of a job, and it shows how crews can make money working for us. And it talks through, it's a $5,000 paint job. I'm paying you 3. I'm keeping 2. Just so you know, this is what you're getting paid for. This is all the stuff you're paying me for. You're paying me $2,000 to manage the whole thing. You show up and do the work, right? And we kind of lay out how they can make more money with us, even though they're charging us less than what they charge a homeowner. And the work that they don't have to do to land the job, manage the job, fund the job, deal with the customer, we're doing all that for them. So we lay that out on this document that we share with them. But one other piece of paper I've used in the past is I've got 15 to 20 different things that a crew can do. Sheetrock, paint, trim, flooring, electrical, plumbing, roofing, everything that is kind of traded out that maybe a general crew can do. And I'm saying, okay, there's 15 items on this. I want you to list 1 through 15 on if I had 15 work orders here that all paid the same, which one would you do first? And which one would you do second? And which one would you do third? Maybe the 15th one, you love doing sheetrock, but it just takes you forever and you can't make money doing it. Great. I want to know that because if I've got a lot of work going on, and if I've got you who's really good at trim work, and I've got crew B that's really good at siding, and you're not good at siding, and I got 2 work orders, I want to know how I can make you the most money. So what work can you get knocked out without go back? Mm-hmm. And what they're doing is telling on themselves of what they're good at and what they're bad at. So I now have a list, day one, of here are the top 5, 6, 7, 8 things that they're going to kill, and here are the bottom 5, 6, 7 things that I'm not going to make money on that is going to be a problem. It's a great way to, because if you say, hey, what can you do, what can you not do? Oh, I can do everything. I can do it all.
Well, what I did was I took your list, and I did something pretty clever. I made them all number 1s. See?
We've literally, yes.
Because I can do it all.
That they will be like, okay, well, until we get clarity on this, I can't hire you.
This was great.
Yeah.
This was a great meeting.
We'll call you.
You're a liar.
Yeah. So we went on board them, and then we've said before, well, I'm not going to go too deep into the insurance side, but we require our subs to carry the same insurance that we have. We want to be double covered to where our insurance is as cheap as possible. They're covering their job sites. We've got a umbrella policy over it. We also allow for, I think, $200,000 or $300,000 a year of uninsured sub work that we're paying for, because then we can bring on crews and say, hey, listen, don't get insurance. We require it, but if you don't have it, let's test out on a couple of jobs. And after 2, 3, 4 weeks, if you want to keep working for us, I need you to spend a couple grand on some insurance to get going. And so it allows them to get a taste of what working with us is like. And if they're not a good fit for us, great. They didn't go and waste that money. If they're a great fit, they see it and they say, hey, I'm willing to do that. Help me figure that out. And so we'll say, hey, okay, next paycheck, we'll take that, and why don't you give that straight to the insurance company? And then we help them on board, get set up, build their company, get their insurance in place, and really work well as a sub for us. I think the last thing I always say in an interview with the sub is, if you enjoy talking with the customer dreaming about the project, that side of the job, we aren't a good fit. If you want to show up, get work done, go home and get paid, we're a killer fit for you. Mm-hmm. We are in charge. Our company deals with the customer, does the planning, does the design, picks out the materials, does all of the work to where then we pass it to our subs to show up, execute the work order, and go to the next job. So if you're a sub that likes to do all of that other stuff, great. We're just not a good fit. You shouldn't work for us. If you want a work order to where instead of spending 2 weeks on a job site dealing with a customer, ordering materials, collecting money, doing final check and trying to pick up the final invoice, if you want to do that, don't work for us. If you want to take that job and get it done in 3 days because you're doing the labor on it and that's it, we're a good fit. Now you're going to get paid less because you're just doing the 3 days, not the 2 weeks worth of work. But if you want to do that, I'll line up 3, 4, 5 jobs in a row that will make you 3, 4, 5 times that money in the same amount of time period. Right? And if they're a good fit, they're going to say, that's what I want. Let's do that. And if they're a bad fit, they're like, well, we'll see. I like the blah, 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 blah. And they're like, okay, well, you're going to be a talker. You're going to want to meet with the customer. You're going to want to deal with them. We're probably not a good fit. Like, you're trying to do my job.
And you walk in the door, it's like, I wouldn't do that. I would do this.
Yeah.
Like, buddy, this is the third meeting.
Those cabinets they just put in aren't even level. Bro, shut up. We're not done with it. Yeah. So, there's a lot more we can go into, but I think we covered it. I mean, what's ending this, James? What is when you meet a new vendor? And
I'd have to say Jesus.
Oh, man, that's great. All right, thanks for listening. When you meet a new vendor, what is it that you're like, these guys are going to work? Like when you're doing an onboarding with a new vendor, which, side note, bringing on a new vendor is not, I got to find someone for tomorrow and I interview one guy and he starts. Bringing on vendors is a lifetime, day in and day out. We want to find 8 to end up hiring 2 to end up being with 1. That being said, when you're talking to vendors, when you run into a guy over at Sherwin-Williams and you're looking for a painter, what clicks in your brain like, these guys are going to work? What's the differentiator for you?
We've kind of talked about it a little bit, but like I'll bait guys a little bit with when I'm meeting new vendors and subs and like, what are you good at? Or what's your focus? When they know what their focus is, I'm like, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Because I know that because you know what your focus is, I know that you're not going to get into a situation and not make money.
Yeah.
Like the guys that have decided to put themselves into a certain area are specializing in that area and they know what they need to make this happen.
Yeah.
And so when I find somebody that knows their purpose, knows what they are going to be spending their time getting good at and understanding, I want to find ways to partner with that person. So again, it might be something like they're going to be too expensive for our everyday run-of-the-mill type of project.
Yeah.
But when we land this, this $2 million house that wants to do it at an ADU, I know that there's going to be a budget there. I need somebody that's really good, somebody that's really knowledgeable, it's going to pick up after themselves, that the client can have a conversation with them without having a conversation with them. They know how to just, we're doing this. Yep. No, it's a great day.
Why don't you call James? Oh, that's a good question.
Call your project manager.
Yeah.
Those guys are the ones that I'm looking to work with.
Yeah.
The other thing is when there's a price sheet. So some companies, like your flooring company, they'll have a price sheet that's really detailed out, that they know exactly this is a level 2 LVT is this many mils. It's this much per bag for floor prep. It's this much for demo of tile. It's this much for subfloor if we need to put in. It's this much. They have it all broken down. That's phenomenal. Yeah. I'll take that.
They'll be 20% more expensive than chucking a truck
and
they pay every penny of that.
Yeah, you're gonna get, and they're gonna warranty their stuff because they're going off volume.
Yep.
They're going off of.
They want to earn your business. They want to be a partner with you. Yeah.
And so when you've got that, that's a really good omen. And there's a lot of guys that don't do that. There's a lot of companies that you'd be surprised that don't have that. And they're like, well, we'll just come out and estimate it, which is great. That's what the homeowner wants, somebody just to come out and tell me what it is.
That's what our project manager does.
But I want to work with you long term. And in order for that to happen, I need to have a semblance of understanding your pricing.
Yeah. Now, if guys come in, to push back a little bit, guys come in without that put together, they're not formally built this company that's got this, like, that's okay. What you're saying is that's a clue of like, oh, these guys get it.
Yeah, that's where you want to lean in. But there's plenty of guys that come in that young and hungry. They want to be the jack of all trades, and that's good. That's like you want guys that can fill that role, but not. That's not where that guy should stay.
Yeah.
It's your job as project manager really to identify what does this person excel at. If they excel at like timelines, great.
Yeah.
That's somebody that let's earmark that person. That would be a good foreman if we ever get to a point where we want to just hire a foreman for 2 projects. This guy is always on his timelines. He's always making sure that he's getting the most out of the guys that are working under him.
Yeah.
Awesome. But there's a guy, Jaime. Years and years ago, we were doing a project, and it went south. It went south pretty hard, and he was hiring guys, and they weren't following through. And I remember being like, I think we just need to hit pause, and maybe you get some more time under your belt, because I was young too.
Yeah.
He ended up being one of our best crews. We waited 2 years, got back with him, and he had learned some more. I couldn't teach him. I couldn't teach him the things that he needed.
Yeah.
But I did know that it wasn't working out between the two of us.
Yep.
Then 2 years later, he comes back and he was killing it.
He learned from his mistakes and made up for it. So I think that's great. All right. Well, thanks for listening. If you want more conversation about this, go to ProStruct360.com. We love to talk to you about subs, how to handle them, how to manage them, anything you need to talk about in growing your company. If you just got a question of what you should do, I love to have a phone call. Go to ProStruct360.com, go to the Contact Us, sign up. My calendar is on there, so you could sign up on the website to have a phone call. I'd love to talk with you personally. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.